Okay, so I've decided to go ahead and continue with this campaign and use my newfound scaling knowledge to see if I can even up the odds a little bit and keep some of these experienced units. So what we're going to do is we're going to start adding some ballast units to 3 Corps here. And I've got a number of guys, but we're going to buy some troops, and we are going to leverage these Mississippis. Actually, yeah, the Mississippis are probably the crappiest thing I have, although the Texases aren't far behind. Oh, and before I do that, all these new save games are me doing some exploration with the new scaling. I did have some interesting things with Distress Call. That I think the average stuff is definitely still there, but there may be more to it than that. I'm not really sure what else is going on. It probably needs some more investigation. But now I have 2 career points. So I'm thinking I would probably want to invest them in AO. Because I'm going to need some space. That adds my 4th Corps. Although, I've got space at the moment. I may need them later. I think the next battles are... yeah, Thoroughfare Gap, Kettle Run, and then Second Bull Run. So... more economy and medicine would also be very, very good. How many cores can I bring? I can bring 4 cores into Second Bull Run. So I will need those AO points eventually, but I think I'll put the 2 points I've got now into medicine instead. Save lives. Okay, so let's get these ballast brigades going. And probably want to, yeah, I'm going to slop. Ooh.
Yes, sir.
So you have more experience than I do. Nobody's close. He's definitely got more experience than Grant. So we're going to replace Grant with McClellan because he's got more experiences and more likely to be quicker. And then we'll replace Loomis with Grant. He'll be quicker to level to Lieutenant General and get the 3rd perk there. So let's see. These green units I don't care too much about, and they're armed with Mississippis and Lorenzas and Springfields. There's other green units. Fifth Division, for example. They've also got Mississippis. The problem is we've sold a lot of Mississippis, but we do have all these Texases, which aren't terrible weapons. They're just not very good. They're better than the Mississippis, but like you can see the comparison between the Texas and the Springfield 1855s. The Texases do more damage, slightly, but their fire rate is slower and their accuracy is significantly lower. So yeah, the Texases are not something I want frontline units armed with. On the other hand, they're not bad. They wouldn't be bad for ballast brigades, and they wouldn't be bad for these troops here. So yeah, what we could do is swap these guys out for Texases. At least anybody who's carrying Mississippis.
Sir, yes, sir!
And I can't give 1855s or something like that, so yeah, that gives me a couple thousand of those. So now we will create some ballast brigades. I want to spend as little money on these guys as possible. And I've thought up some things to use these troops for, though, especially in large battles. They'd be very, very good for rear area screening, protecting the supply wagons, keeping cavalry pinned down, or finishing off units that have charged and slipped through the lines, that sort of thing. And I can merge these guys together into one single large brigade. So they're at least mildly combat effective. I mean, they won't be great, but... And that actually helps the scaling as well, particularly if the scaling has a fixed for the experience, a fixed multiplier for the experience levels as opposed to going by basic experience, because that means these units could get some experience as long as I kept them below 1 star, and the smaller they got, the better they do their job. So they could take some casualties, get a little bit of experience, not become 1-star units, and if I could get each of these brigades down to 200 men, for example, that would be even better.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's one division of these guys. We're going to call these guys 5th Division, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. And I'm going to call these guys militia. And now I'm regretting selling all of those, the Springfields and Palmettos, but yeah, what are you going to do? Thinking Loomis for the skirmishers? Yeah. They almost need generals. Yeah, these guys right here need a colonel, because that gives them their 1 star. It frees up another major as well. And I've got this captain here. Let's see what I can do with him in regards to the artillery. I'd disband and rebuild these guys if I could, but I might just keep them around, because we know they're holding the scaling down. But if I could create, I guess now would be a good time to look at it, actually. Yeah, I pulled it down to 16,703 and 33 guns. Let's see if adding some artillery pulls the number of guns down. No, but it didn't add guns either. Interesting. I'm wondering if this... Oh, I definitely didn't want to assign a general to those guys. If that had any... I don't think that would change anything. Okay. I'm not gonna ask about that. That's odd, but okay. Yeah, let's try building another one. Still 33 guns. But you'll notice I just added 8 guns and nothing changed. So, I mean, that's good, right?
Yes, sir.
Wow. Adding Ziegler as a brigadier general is not enough to get the efficiency of these guys up. That's incredible. Okay, so adding ballast units for the artillery is not doing anything at all. It's not raising the number, but it's not reducing it either. Interesting. Okay. Don't really have enough guns to keep messing around with this. Although, it's not a bad thing to have those guys. I wonder if that'll let me, see if that'll let me clean up some of these batteries. Haha, 22,000.
Yes, sir.
That's a huge decrease in effectiveness. Alright, one more veteran gun. Spend 10,000 on these guys. Okay, that's not so bad. Check the rest of them.
Sir, yes, sir.
And so now that I've added those 6 guns, does that bump up the scaling? By 3 guns. I can live with that. I add 6, they bump up 3. I can definitely live with that. Let's see if adding another and it's embarrassing that I'm using 10-pounders for this, but what else am I gonna do, right? Still no change. So you can add those little 4-gun batteries all you want. It doesn't seem to affect anything, but it doesn't seem to drag the numbers down either. Okay, so that takes care of everybody but this guy. And let's see, where do we stand here? I could convert these guys to 24-pounders. Now they're gonna take a beating going up, but not too much of one. And they're still 1-stars. Now I added 5 guns. Let's see what it does. You bumped them up by another 3 guns. I can live with that, I think. I'm really curious about this now because I'm not seeing any scaling, but I'm not seeing I mean, we're seeing scaling, but we're seeing scaling at a very minimal level. I think these guys are having an effect. I could actually delete them and see what happens. Yeah, they went down 1 gun. Okay, I'm starting to drag the average down now. I bet if I delete these guys and rebuild them. Yeah, it gets bumped up to 42 guns. So there is an effect, but it's much less than what you would expect. Which means it could be they're just counting tubes. Which is an interesting thought. Um, and ideally, I'd get a couple of these guys damaged. I don't think you can get artillery batteries down to one gun, at least in any kind of way that's reproducible. But clearly, if you could do such a thing, it would be very beneficial. So we've got a whole division of artillery here. And that'll drag us down to 38 guns. Which is definitely, I think, acceptable. I think it started at 33 or 31, so 33, 5 guns. We can live with that because we now have 5 24-pounder brigades and 2 20-pounder Parrott brigades, which I am then now going to bump up. Yeah, I don't think that's worth the money. We need a division commander here. Heinzman will do. Didn't we lose another? No, these are just brigade commanders. Who can we promote? These guys can. Could certainly promote Lawton. A major's not enough to make those guys efficient, but a lieutenant colonel will be, assuming he's higher than that. Let's try Timony. Yeah, we can live with that. Those guys already have a lieutenant colonel, and they're inexperienced anyway. Is there anybody else who's massively overkill? I don't think so. These guys are massive overkills, but that's because they're lieutenant colonels. Although, I bet I could put McNair in. Yeah, no harm done there.
Yes, sir.
And that'll free up some lieutenant colonels and a brigadier general. To make sure that these guys are efficient as they can be. Yeah, this guy definitely needs somebody better. Although clearly they'll go down after a bit. We can put a major in charge of those guys. No, we can't. They need a lieutenant colonel. They got their 1 star as well. Okay. So we've gotten the artillery sorted out. Let's see what the number of guns looks like now. I suspect it hasn't changed much. Okay, it went up by 1 to 39. I think we can live with that. Although we're not going to take all of these 24-pounder batteries into this battle, so... If we add another crap artillery battery, will that drag it back down again? Yeah, that dragged it back down to 38. Yeah, so our goal in the next big battle, like say Second Bull Run, is to get a lot of those artillerymen killed. How crazy is that as a goal in your combat? Okay. So let's look at infantry now and see who I'm going to bring in. 16,809. Let's pull 5th Division out. That guy, yeah, pull 5th Division out. Pull 4th Division out. We got to move somebody up. Oh, it should be 2nd Division. Yeah. And then 3rd Division. We'll leave 4th Division and 2 Corps for right now, I think. Oh no. Actually, what we need to do, switch these 2 guys. 6th Division. Pull them back down. And with a little bit of shuffling, everything's back in order. I believe that I can only bring 10 brigades to this fight. So the question is going to be, who do I bring?
Form line!
The veterans for these guys are amazingly expensive. Let's see where that leaves me in terms of scaling. $16,932. So my ballast brigades are doing their job. The scaling's not going up hardly at all. Although I might want to add another one. Let's start with this division here. I'm out of Mississippi's, but I've still got some Texases left.
Sir, yes, sir!
No effect, really. I think that Hayes guy's... No, not quite. It's not budging. Interesting. The only thing I can figure is that there's too many troops. There's too much pulling it up. Which is okay. It's actually not that big of a problem. Wonder. Looks like it's stuck at 16,932. Probably put some more veterans in here. Let's get these guys up to 1,300. Not cheap, but that gets them back in the same strength level as the rest of my troops here. And then we can see how high we can go without losing these guys. They're 2 stars. So he's right at 1,600. He's at 1,547. These guys can just ramp all the way up. And we're buying Harper's Ferries now. Okay, we ramped a little bit, 17,124. But considering the number of men we just added, I'm not seeing much of a problem with that. I'll get these guys up to 1,500. So if I went with this force right here, how did those guys lose their 2nd star? I must have reinforced them too much. That's alright. If I went with that force, that would give me... Well, okay. We got to take everybody else out. Yeah, we got 2 division slots here, so we can drop them both down. So it'd be this force. That gives me 11,000 defenders and 24 guns. Yeah, I know this is a little inefficient. I feel like I ought to bring another infantry brigade. Although I've got 2 less experienced brigades to absorb the hits. And my best snipers to control that field. I could swap an artillery brigade for a sniper brigade. These guys need the experience. Although this is not a great sniper battle. You'd think it would be because you're basically shooting fish in a barrel, but you end up getting exposed out on that slope because they have to move forward in order to fire. So see if there's anybody left who's armed with stuff we don't care about. Got 1,300 Springfields. Could actually swap these guys for 1855s. Yeah. That'll add me some more Texases. I think that guy is actually better than Tower. Yeah. We're very close to it, so we'll just use Tower. And then we'll use that other guy as well. Back down to 16,932. And that may be the limit. That may be the lowest limit because of the guns. That guy, they ended up scaling some additional guns, and so that added a few men to the pile. But they're all artillerymen. I won't refit any of these units because refitting these guys would just all it would do would be bump up the average. So it doesn't. We don't want to do it at the moment. Yeah, I think this is a pretty good force for Thoroughfare Gap. Cut their edge to barely 1.5 to 1. Rather than facing them with 8,000 men. So yeah, okay. I think this is the force we're going to take into Thoroughfare Gap. So let's finish setting these guys up. These are. Alright, and these guys, 1415. It's 2-4 now. Yeah, and we'll leave those guys as 3rd Division. We know who they are, and it's not like they can merge with anybody. Okay. Save this. Prep Thoroughfare Gap. And I'm going to stop this, and then I'll start streaming Thoroughfare Gap right after this, so stay tuned.